Welcome back. Now, the business in Washington. Build Back Better is busted. Senator Joe Manchin pulling his $1.8 trillion spending compromise idea off of the table. I spoke with Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson yesterday on Sunday Morning Futures about this. Watch.
God bless Joe Manchin. I can't tell you how many of my supporters tell me to tell Joe Manchin they are praying for him as they witness how the Democrats are abusing him. So, that's not the way to get somebody on your side, that's for sure. So I appreciate the fact that Joe Manchin stood by his pledge not to blow up the Senate, to eliminate the filibuster. He's concerned about inflation, as am I.
Joining me right now to talk about what gets done, if anything, is Washington Free Beacon staff writer Matthew Foldi. Matthew, good to see you. Your thoughts on where we are? Is Build Back Better dead in the water at this point, or do you think the Democrats are going to take another stab at it and change it so that it goes back to the House and then Senate?
Well, good morning, Maria. Thanks for having me on. I think that Democrats should look to their favorite musical, Hamilton, and realize, as they famously sing, you don't have the votes. Now, I won't sing that for you this morning. I think everyone's probably happy about that. But the reality is that the Democrats do not have the votes. Joe Manchin has said from the beginning that he is not going to vote for this. And as Senator Johnson said in that clip you just played, this is not the time to destroy the economy with trillions of dollars of spending that's not needed. We've seen, again, the supply chain crisis continues. Grocery stores are empty across the country. Inflation is already being felt by Americans. So the idea that we need to inject even a moderate $1.8 trillion into the economy right now doesn't make any sense. But to your second question, they actually are going to continue voting for it, even though they don't have the votes to pass it in the Senate. Chuck Schumer said he's going to put it up for vote after vote after vote. So-called moderate Democrats are probably freaking out in the Senate at the prospect of voting for trillions of dollars of spending that they know will solely be used in attack ads against them. Meanwhile, Democrats in the House all voted for trillions of dollars of the spending that is not needed, and they walked the plank for absolutely nothing.
Yeah, but Matthew, the big question now is whether or not they are going to have any success on a pair of voting rights bills. This is the second week that we're seeing Democrats try to push the voting rights bills as well. The question now is how forceful will Joe Biden be? He's going to be giving a speech in Atlanta tomorrow. Is he going to make a forceful case for reforming the filibuster? What is your take on the voting bills?
It's going to fall on deaf ears, just like the rest of his agenda. We see the Democrats have one of the narrowest majorities in congressional history, but they're governing like it's FDR in the middle of World War II. So President Biden can make as forceful an argument as he would like in Atlanta, invoking MLK's legacy to eliminate voter ID and things like that. But the reality is I don't think that they're going to get to the radical overhaul of elections that they want, despite the, seemingly forceful case that President Biden seems poised to make in Georgia. Because once again, to invoke Hamilton, they do not have the votes to pass this either. And the Democratic solution is to try and blow up the entire Senate, which they also don't have the votes for. So whether it's Build Back Better, so-called voting rights, that is just a plan for Democrats to never lose elections again, or destroying the Senate by eliminating the filibuster, Democrats simply don't have 50-plus votes that they need to enact any of the agenda that they seem to think they have based on a mandate that doesn't exist.
Yeah, Politico is reporting that right before Biden speaks tomorrow in Atlanta, Senate Democrats are going to meet virtually again with Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema. To try to get one more push through. But what about COVID? I mean, look, more people have died of COVID this year in 2021, rather, than 2022. The CDC is now having backlash for not disclosing how many reported deaths can actually be attributed directly to COVID. The Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor naming a completely inaccurate statistic over child hospitalizations on Friday. This was wild. Here she is. Watch this. I got to get your reaction.
We have over 100,000 children, which we've never had before, in serious condition, and many on ventilators.
Wow. CDC Director Rochelle Walensky clarified that yesterday, that the actual number of children hospitalized is fewer than 3,500, Matthew. Your thoughts?
Look, if Sonia Sotomayor were a Twitter account, she would have been banned for spreading COVID misinformation a long time ago. So, but it's not only that she misstated by a factor of, 10, plus how many children are hospitalized and on ventilators due to coronavirus. She compared humans to machines. She said that the Delta variant is somehow she said that Omicron is more deadly than Delta. I mean, she was lying left and right from her chambers because she was doing her COVID theatrics. Stephen Breyer similarly said that there are 750 million cases of coronavirus, even though there are, last I checked, roughly 330 million people in America. So the court's 3 liberal justices were, putting out misinformation left and right on the coronavirus. And we see that one of the lasting consequences of the Trump presidency is that it's a 6-3 conservative court. So Sotomayor and her fellow liberal justices can say these sorts of things that have to be corrected by the CDC, which is actually very weird to me. But at the end of the day, they are most likely going to be in the minority vote on things like the OSHA vaccine mandate that's being argued in front of the court right now.
What are you expecting from the Supreme Court on the vaccine mandate, Matthew?
I think that the court will probably overturn the larger vaccine mandate, and it's likelier that the narrow vaccine mandate for healthcare workers at hospitals that receive Medicare funding, that one may be upheld, although I can't really see why one would be upheld and the other one wouldn't. But I think the broad vaccine mandate is likely to be much likelier to be overturned. The other one is maybe they can notch a smaller one there.
We've been saying it from day one. It's unconstitutional. But, Matthew, how scary is it to see the Supreme Court even get politicized in this environment? Really a dangerous signal. Matthew, it's good to catch up. Thanks very much. Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks very much,
Matthew. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, look, you see Democrats invoking this lie all the time about kids, like Terry McAuliffe was doing this all the time in the closing days of his gubernatorial race. And I think it's how Democrats want to keep schools closed, by making up arguments about kids in hospitals. It's sickening.
Wow, it sure is. Matthew, good to see you. Thanks very much. Matthew Foldi joining us in Washington this morning. Quick break.